Although we are active Church of Satan members, we do not speak their behalf. The following contains language in an adult manner and poorly impersonated celebrity voices. Listener discretion is advised.
I'm Vera. I heard you liked redheads. How's my vagina feel?
Oh my God.
It's really tight and interesting.
Is it moist enough for you?
All right, and we're back with episode 14.
Yeah.
What's up, buddy?
What's going on, dude?
What's going on, man? I heard you had yourself a action-packed trip that I missed out on my old stomping grounds.
Hey, it's your fault. You decided to move away, but it was sweet. It was so sweet. Marlene and I took a little road trip. We went out to Hollywood and LA to meet up with Dance to Sod and Black Magic Beach Party, Matt Sanji's band, and meet up with Blanche Barton and Zachary Simon and a bunch of other people, man. It was amazing.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, the debauchery, it was just
all
crazy.
The shows and everything go?
They were really cool. I mean, I never got to hear Black Magic Beach Party until we got there. They opened up for one of the shows at the Tiki Bar, and this was the second night. And it was just demented. I mean, the show at the Whiskey Go-Go with Dance Aside was crazy amazing. Finally got to meet Ruth, and Jimmy Gunn was out there, you know. And he's dressed like Rocky, dude. Rocky Balboa from like part 1. You know what I mean? I thought he was gonna pull like a little blue ball out of his pocket and start playing with it, but he didn't. He should change his name to Jimmy Guns. Did you see those arms?
Oh yeah.
But anyway, everybody was awesome. Meeting new people was just really cool. It was great shows. We were rocking out. My voice is still hoarse from screaming and yelling like I do. I couldn't put my tongue back in my mouth. It was crazy.
Over with the crowd at the Whiskey.
Oh, they loved it. They loved
it.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was really awesome, man. I don't know if you ever seen the monster. Oh yeah, you did. He's like 7 feet and like 13 inches. It's weird. He's so tall, dude.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Gyps was kicking ass. Lilith, everybody in the band was just fucking rocking, dude. Alexander's such a cool dude. It's just really cool, man. Really had a good time.
Awesome. So, any other adventures while you were out there?
Yeah, I mean, I got really drunk, and just really had fun and kind of went overboard. I was mourning the death of a buddy at the same time. And
that's right. Yeah, sorry to hear that, man.
Hey, it's cool. I don't want to get too crazy on it. He was a Satanist, non-joiner though, but he would have loved what we did, man. He was more ever forward than anybody. So he would, if I stopped and got too sad, he would have punched me in the face. So, and I love him for it. Anyway, funny story while we were out there though. We're going to the after party. Dance to Sod's after party at their condo or something, and we're driving there, and we're going on the highway. I think what's it called, the 405 or something like that.
Oh yeah,
And we're heading up there, and I go to get off to get onto the 55, and if this sounds familiar to you, all of a sudden flashing lights, cops are like, behind me. But there's a car behind me, and then the cops, and I'm like, I was like so confused. Like, is it me? What's going on? And I go to the left a little bit, and then the car behind me stays still, and the cop went to the left. I'm like, oh shit, he's after me. So I went to the right. He came back to the right. I'm like, okay. So I get off, and all of a sudden, Adam Robertson, his wife Cheryl, amazing people, but he starts freaking out on me, dude. He's like, dude, I'm not going back. He's like, I'm not going back. And I'm like, what the fuck, dude? He's like, I got warrants, man. And no, I'm kidding. He didn't say that shit. Sorry, Adam. No, he's going to be like, you motherfucker. No, he didn't do that shit. But we go to get off the thing, and I'm tripping out. Like, why would I be, pulled over? What did I do? And
I've ridden in the car with you. I have an idea. But.
Come on, I'm awesome. So then, so I get off and I go to the right, and I hear like the and he's like sitting there, saying stuff on his little the intercom on the car, and he's like, pull over to the right, and so we get over, and he's like, take this right, and the guy behind me, he's still behind me, I'm in front of him. We pull over together, and all this stuff. He's like, take this right and stop, and I go to pull over and I stop, and then we come to a stop, and he goes, black car, go away. And I'm like, yes! I hit my gas faster than fucking Speedy Gonzalez, dude. It was like later, got back on the highway and got to the party. It was like, holy fuck, man. That's just
Nice.
drove me nuts. But yeah, other than that, it was cool.
So the sweating stopped after that, right? You're like, oh.
Yeah, definitely. It was crazy. Black car, go away. It was like, nice.
That's awesome, man.
Usually it's the black one that gets pulled over. But no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, in LA? Yeah, definitely.
Vehicular profiling or something. But yeah. But it was cool,
Well,
man.
yeah,
I wish you were there. We wish we were all talking
actually,
about it.
probably a good thing that you had another car in between you, because if he'd have seen the name on your license plate, he would have been like, yeah, one of these fucking Satanists.
Great. Tell everybody what my license plate is. That's
I
perfect.
didn't say what it was. I'm just saying.
No, that's awesome because, yeah, we made it out of there and got to the party.
Oh, yeah,
But it
man.
was cool. You
So it
got
was a
to.
good time, though, man.
Yeah, it was really, really cool. Just a really good time. Really good time.
I'm jealous. Fucker.
It's all good. We had fun, man.
Right on.
Yeah, let's move on.
All right.
The Law of Gyps.
Law number 1. I have my reasons for all I do, whether or not they resonate well with you. Each morning when I awake, I tell myself never, ever to seek the approval of my fellow man or woman. I do what I do based on my own decisions, my own thinking, my own desires. All of that comes first to myself. With each choice I make, with each adventure I take, it's not my job to seek a thumbs up from anyone around me. Nods of approval, applause, pats on the back, those are all a bonus to me. With that being said, the most rewarding thing to myself as a Satanist and as an individual is the ability to recognize what I do, the reasons why I do them, and to embrace myself for thinking on my own terms. Hail Satan.
Infernal Link magazine is a quarterly magazine focused on publishing extremely dark and sexually charged fiction and poetry. In addition to our violently erotic fictional offerings, we have interviews and a regular music column written by Dave, the Dave of Lipscomb, that explore and expose the reader to artists and acts of a diabolically sinful nature. This magazine is not for the faint of heart or prudish.
The current and all back issues of Infernal Ink magazine may be found through Amazon Kindle or in print or PDF to Lulu.com. For more information about Infernal Ink, as well as Hydra M Star and Dave Lipscomb's other publications, can be found through HydraMStar.com, Facebook.com, Infernal Ink magazine, or the Babel's Gallery on Facebook.
Attack.
A listener email.
I'm writing to let you guys know a few things. One, this podcast is the best podcast I've ever heard in my entire life. You two are the funniest f***ing dudes I've ever heard. But there's one thing I don't like about it. Why do you guys talk about LaVey and Satanism? Why don't you talk about the other forms of Satanism, like theistic, traditional, modern, and also LaVeyan? Why do you guys only endorse the Church of Satan, not? They are doing amazing things for Satanism and should be mentioned too. Anyway, I really like the show, but we need to open up a wider range of Satanism and satanic organizations. Ave and Hill, Mike B.
Dax's response.
Have you ever read the Satanic Bible? You're stupid. Anton LaVey started the religion, you butthole. To address the question regarding Satanism, there's only one Satanism. Anton LaVey codified the religion, and everything else is fake. You dumb. What the? If the guy who started the religion wanted different forms of Satanism, don't you think he would have done it? You douche nozzle.
So we're back for interview time for episode 14. After coming off of a great interview with Peter Gilmore, we need to keep things on a high note, John. We need a little rock and roll, or maybe hardcore is a better one. Who we got this week?
We've got fellow warlock of the Church of Satan, Nathan Gray, everyone.
What's up, man?
Hi. How are you?
How goes it?
Off, eh? That one's going to go over everyone's head right there, right off the bat.
I love it. Yeah. I love that intro. So we just finished up an interview with Peter Gilmore, and now this guy.
We got to keep it on a high note, is what I'm saying.
Great. Yeah. No, that was very kind of you. I appreciated that.
Or not. I don't know. It all depends on how this goes. It could go, it could go to Nazi rants or whatever.
Right.
Let's talk about
I feel
wolves.
like that's going to be taken weird by some people.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He's going to do a Nazi rant? What the hell?
We're getting reported already. Don't worry about it.
Excellent. Good.
So I have to, right off the bat, before we get started, I've been waiting to do this because I knew we were going to have you on, and I wanted to publicly thank you for helping me out. For those who don't know, when I was moving across country, I was broke down in the middle of Texas with my wife and baby, and I don't know, I think you called upon the spirit of Lucifer or something like that. I don't know, but
the powers that be,
or some kind of voodoo. I don't know, but all of a sudden, some dude was there, some guy who barely spoke English was there to tow me, and took care. They told me that half the bill was taken care of. I couldn't. I don't know what to say other than just thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Hey, you're very welcome. No problem.
It was very cool of you. And then,
awesome.
actually, John Shaw, the tattoo party we did at your house covered the other half of the bill. So I barely made it across country, but because of you two. So
that's awesome. Right on.
Awesome.
No, happy
Very
to
cool.
help.
Right on, man. So you're a busy guy.
Yes. Very
From
true.
what I can tell, it seems like I think like many of us Satanists who are artistic in any kind of fashion, you can't just do one thing.
He's like, that's right, I'm busy. Bye.
Gotta do
Right.
Click.
What the hell are you calling me for? Right.
So obviously you got a lot of different things on your plate with different bands and stuff. We of course know you not only from your solo music, but from I Am Heresy, and of course many people know Boy Sets Fire.
Correct.
I actually the shop I'm working at now, the guy who I'm working with, he's a big hardcore fan, and so I mentioned you, and he knew who you were right away, and
Nice.
so you're just all over the place with music. What have you been working on lately?
Let's see. Lately, I've been really focusing on the solo stuff a lot. We've got, the new Boy Sets Fire album just came out not that long ago, and we'll be doing some. Thank you very much. We'll be doing some little touring. Jesus Christ, what the
Twerking?
fuck is twirling?
Take off, eh?
Twerking a little bit.
It's twerking.
I'm going to be definitely twerking. Okay. We'll be touring, doing a couple of things here and there in this year, but for the most part, focusing on finally doing a full length for the solo stuff.
Oh, now you got me thinking of you twerking. That's not cool.
Right.
Nathan Cyrus. That's not going to be nice.
Try your hardest not to start stroking it. I know. It's difficult.
Awesome. Are you going to make it to South Florida?
I would love to. I think that if I do in any capacity, it'll probably be with the solo stuff. I really want to start focusing on that a lot. But we'll see. See what happens.
So then, are you writing right now? Then is that?
Oh yeah. We had written a lot of stuff before I went to Europe with the solo stuff, and now I guess it's actually Friday. This Friday, we're gonna probably get together and get some stuff done. See, I think Dan, who's sort of my partner in crime with that stuff, we've been writing separately, and then we just get together and we smash it all together and see what happens.
Right on. That's cool, man. I'm trying to buy John some time to wolf down a taco here. So.
Oh yeah, no problem. Get on it. It's not like we couldn't have just waited a few minutes to start this whole thing. Why don't we just take time now? Fuck it. No. John, go ahead. Eat your taco.
I need sustenance, you fucks.
Oh, what a prick. Bringing it back.
Born in D.C., it's right over your head. So,
right.
It's all right. I can edit.
Right.
Oh, that's right. John holds the power here. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, shit.
All right. Well, as you know from the show, that we kind of like to try and do almost kind of like a biography kind of thing. And I know bits and pieces, but if you could maybe tell us a little bit about your past, maybe childhood and your upbringing, that sort of thing.
Yeah, sure. I was born a young black child in the ghetto.
I knew it.
That old chestnut.
You're right. Any Steve Martin fans might grab that, but anyway.
The phone book's here. The phone book's here.
I knew you were a jerk. No, I'm kidding.
Right. There we go. Perfect. Let's see. I was born in Wilmington, Delaware, in a hospital that no longer exists, which I try not to take personally. I'm not sure. I don't think it was like the next day.
Did it mysteriously burn down the next day?
That's it. I've had enough. Yeah.
But it wasn't that long ago. But let's see. And growing up was, let's see, for the most part, I lived until I was about 10 in Newark, Delaware. And, I mean, pretty normal working class family, lower end income working class family. Grew up fairly poor, but had an awesome family. Very, very religious family, but awesome nonetheless, which is not a story you normally get from a Satanist or atheist or somebody like that. That's like, yeah, my religious family was great.
Yeah.
So I guess it's funny because when people always assume that if you're a Satanist or an atheist or something like that, that you had this horrible experience or like your parents were religiously abusive or something like that.
Being a Satanist is like being a stripper. You must have been molested.
Exactly.
Poor bastard. Yeah.
I'm just trying to get back at my dad. Which is ridiculous.
Nobody loves me.
So I actually had an awesome upbringing. My parents are still some of my best friends that I have today. But that being said, we moved from Delaware down to Pensacola, Florida, for many years because my parents went to school for God stuff, theology school or whatever. And and we went to this bigger charismatic church, and this is where I started getting into Christian rock music like Petra and Stryper. And,
I reach out, right?
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
I used to love Stryper, dude.
Yeah.
I didn't care what they were saying. It was all about the riffs.
It was one of those things that you had to listen to it because you weren't allowed to listen to the other stuff.
Exactly the boat I was in. Yeah.
Although, funny enough, I found that being at a so we lived in this trailer park on the property of the church we went to, which was also the school that my parents went to. So it's this whole inbred situation. So
that explains a lot.
Oh yeah, totally does. There was like a Christian library and record store on premises, and just perfect for indoctrination. But I would go in there, and I would always, because they had sort of a library where you could take out certain tapes, when people listen to tapes, and there was one that was on rock music, and it was called the Rock Called Punk. That's what it was about. It was about punk music, and of course at that time nobody knew what the fuck punk music was. Like they thought Black Sabbath was punk,
Right,
they had no idea. But I would get these tapes and go listen to them for just the little segment of awesome music on them. Like the rest of the time they'd be talking shit on it and like, oh, this is of the devil and blah blah blah. Yeah, get to the next song. Like,
exactly. That I always explain that my introduction to heavy metal was from the Hell's Bells movie that they would play in our church. Like that's how I learned
that
about
movie. Yeah. I was a big fan of that movie. I watch it over and over again just to hear the music.
I feel bad for you guys.
Yeah. But that made
great.
It made it all the more rebellious, though, I think, too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's funny because those were the days that opened me up to music. It was my first experience with hearing about this horrible, awful man named Anton LaVey. It was the beginning of everything for me, to an extent. It's just that everyone else sat there and went, "Oh my God, this is terrible," and I went, "Wait, this is sort of badass." Yeah. I don't know what you guys are watching, but this is cool.
Right, yeah.
So it worked in the opposite direction for me, I guess. And not even in the realm of I was trying to be rebellious or, go in the other direction. It was just more of I don't get it. You don't think this is cool?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's how I felt too. Yeah.
I'm lost. Like, all right, well. But so coming up through all that, and it was not the happiest of times. I think in my family life it was great, but when you grow up in the church life like that, there's a lot of repression. There's a lot of just evil shit. I don't even like to use the word evil. I don't believe really in evil, but just some horrible psychotic shit that adults would put on kids that now I think about it and I was like, God, if that was my kid, I would have punched somebody in the fucking face.
Yeah.
I was terrified. I was literally, and this sounds insane, but I was literally terrified that if I listened to rock music, that demons would come into my house through my radio and hurt me.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I was told the same kind of things.
How insanely abusive is that? That's insane. Like you're telling little kids, impressionable little kids, that if they listen to certain styles of music, that literal demons will come in. Like they were telling stories about like a kid that like demons had stabbed his ears or his eardrums or something. He couldn't hear because he was listening to rock music. And it sounds silly as an adult, but when you're a kid, you're like, oh my God, really?
Especially when your parents are taking you to the church that is telling you these things. So my parents are taking me here. It's got to be true. But
you don't even think to run the stories by them and have them go, oh no, wait a minute. I think there were a couple incidences where I did there was some really weird shit at this one church called Liberty that we went to. And there was definitely a time or two that I'd go to my parents and so they're telling me this in school right now because the school. Oh, by the way, the school was also attached to this church.
Of course.
That's peculiar.
Yeah, weird. It doesn't sound anything like a cult, right?
Right.
So everything you do all the time is this church now. So. I think that was sort of the beginning of them going, okay, we need to get the hell out of here. Because they've always been very level-headed people, although they have their beliefs and all that, they're not insane,
Yeah.
So I would go to them and be like, so I'm being told this, and they'd be like, what? Okay, no, that's not correct. No. So, I remember there was actually I think it was the one thing that finally broke the camel's back was there was this missionary that had come in that everybody loved. And cannot remember his name to save my life off the top of my head. But he was this very charismatic, missionary. And
Jim Jones?
Yeah, that's the one.
Kool-Aid Man.
Yeah.
He busted
gave
through the
us all
wall.
this really delicious Kool-Aid. It was.
Oh yeah.
Apparently, he was a missionary in Africa, and this is right at the height of the AIDS scare, like back when nobody knew where AIDS was coming from, although except for that it was a gay disease and blah blah blah.
I thought Magic Johnson made it up.
Well, yes, that's what we later found out, but at the time, yeah. It was. But he came in and he was telling a story it was like a Sunday school type of setting with a bunch of kids. And he was talking about basically gay people and AIDS and how it's a gay disease, because that's what you talk about in Sunday school. But he was telling the story as if he was very proud of himself. He was in the McDonald's drive-thru, and I'll never forget this because I was so shocked. And he was he said that somebody came on to the speaker to get his order.
Oh, no.
Gross, right? No.
I'm hearing this all
Somebody
wrong.
came all over the speaker. No. Got on the speaker and asked for his order, but he said that the guy had a very effeminate voice. So he very proudly told us that he said that he didn't want that faggot touching his food because he didn't want to get AIDS.
God.
Wow.
And he believed that was a good and godly thing to say. So that was right around when I told my parents the story, and they're like, oh, no. Okay, so we need to get out of here. And that was about the end of that. Yeah.
Wow.
But it was a lot of stories like that finally culminated.
How old were you
into
when you were telling your parents these stories?
I was probably 12.
Oh, wow.
Something like that. 12, 13, somewhere in there. Very impressionable time period.
Yeah. It's got to be fucking up your head.
Oh, yeah, and I remember 13 being miserable anyway. I mean, right around puberty and all that shit, and I was just miserable and crying for no reason.
Yeah.
It was awful. And then you got these jerks,
Yeah.
What's interesting is when nowadays when we talk to people who talk about the satanic panic and knowing that we were on the other side of that, hearing the same story, but going, oh, I remember that, thinking it was real,
Right. Oh yeah. And what's funny about that, I don't remember a lot of. I mean, obviously, I remember the satanic panic from the other side. And them blaming everything on Satanism and all this stuff. But I just remember very vividly seeing these videos that they were showing me of Anton LaVey and the little horns and the cape and stuff. And at first going, well, that dude's sort of funny, know. and then I actually heard some of the things he was saying, and they couldn't really discredit him. You know what I mean? Because he never said any of that shit.
We know what you mean.
There was no I will sacrifice children for Satan. You know what I mean? There was just so they couldn't really go into his subject matter to discredit him, which then led people like me to go, well, I want to go read what he's saying because he seems to be making sense right now.
Right. Yeah.
So I did, and it was very telling, like everyone says that's a Satanist now. You read it and there I am. That's who I am and what I believe.
So how old were you when that happened?
That was right around that same age.
Oh, about 12,
probably
13.
around 12, 13, somewhere in there.
It's weird. I've noticed that a lot of people. It happens to a lot of people. I was 13. Some of the people we've interviewed already. It's always around 13.
Yeah, weird. There's some kind of weird numerology thing we could do with that, but that's silly. So
maybe that's the age of reason.
Oh, very nice. Well done. Well, funny enough, though, my story sort of takes a left turn from there because although I found it at that time, it terrified the shit out of me because I had been pumped so full of demons are going to get you and Satan's going to kill you if you don't believe in God. None of it that makes sense now, but at the time it made a lot of sense. Like now I'm thinking, like, even if there were demons, shit, why would they give a shit? Like, why would they come to Earth to torment me? Because don't they want me to go there? So if they wanted me to go there, why would they scare me away from going there? And there's a lot of weird shit that makes no sense with all of that. But anyway, strangely enough, we're the fucking hobbits and unicorns. I don't know. But you know, I was basically held in fear for much longer after that, to where, you know, rock tapes and music and the Satanic Bible, things like that, I had literally like ripped them up and burned them because I thought if I didn't, that the devil was going to get me, and or that God was going to punish me.
I'm telling Peter.
You should. He may already know this story. But it's one of those things, like you, and I guess that's the power of and the psychological hold that these kind of things can have on someone.
Absolutely.
To where I really didn't get rid of it fully until I was well into my 30s. I'm 43 now, you know, and I don't think it was till I was in my 30s that I finally even called myself an atheist. I had just become a more liberal Christian, you know, over and over, until I finally went, why am I even bothering? I don't believe any of this shit.
I did exactly the same. Yeah. I mean, I was probably 32, 33 before I made that transition, actually.
Yeah, and it was a quick transition from atheism to finding Satanism, because it was so obvious to me, because I had known that from the beginning, where my head was at with that. And honestly, when I realized I was an atheist, you know, I read, obviously, as most people do, got into Dawkins and Hitchens and things like that. But I wasn't finding a lot of things that were telling me what I was. It was just more what I'm not, which I found to be very unfulfilling, you know. And when I went to find what other atheists believe, a lot of times I'd find humanism. And in a lot of humanistic ideology, it's very, it just seems very Christian without God.
Right.
Like, it's just sort of that, well, we can be good too type of good guy, bad stuff.
Kumbaya.
I don't, we can be good without God because we love all humans. Why?
Yeah.
Why the fuck do you love everybody?
Some of them are really
sucks.
shitty.
Why would you bother? So that brought me back to the Satanic Bible and going, oh, this is why this connected with me. You know what I mean? Now I get it, and now I'm able to accept it more than I could when I was younger and just scared of my own fucking shadow.
Yeah. Right.
Which is true. I swear, when I was like a younger kid, and I look back now, and it's funny, because when I was a younger kid and younger person, I was terrified constantly. Yeah. I just wasn't a very strong person.
So as far as accepting it, did your parents... do they know? Right? I mean, did they know you're a Satanist? And when did they know? And were they accepting of it? I
mean, you know, as far as you can be. You know, I think a lot of times it doesn't really get brought up. You know, obviously I'm not timid about the topic, and I've made it very known. So they know, and everybody knows. You know, but I think that it is one of those things where. You know, you can sit around and have a friendly debate for only so long. And we have, you know, just sort of here and there and stuff like that. But, you know, at some point you just have to be like, well, love you. You know, that's it. Exactly. You know, and that's pretty much where it ends.
See you at Christmas.
They're family. Yeah. But, I mean, I actually my parents I see a lot. Like, they don't live that far away from me. And we have a very awesome relationship. My mom and my dad. I think with the rest of my family, it depends on the family member. You know what I mean? Sure. But I think, like, with my parents, it's always been strong. So it's I don't think it's accepted as much as it just is. Well, that's what it is. So I guess that's acceptance. I assume.
Yeah.
But no one's applauding for me. But why would I want that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nobody's like, "Well, yeah, good for you, buddy." Like,
you chose Satanism.
Yeah, way to go. Like, but any Satanist worth their whatever doesn't need applause for everything they do.
Right.
So
where does music come into play as far as obviously, like you kind of discovered punk at a young age, but as far as you performing and stuff, where did that start to happen?
That started to happen at a very young age with a tennis racket in my room, blasting Striper, Petra, Striper, and actually Rick Springfield and Prince. When I was being naughty. Yeah.
Wish that I had Jesse's girl.
When I was being naughty, you know what I mean? I get into that secular music, but for the most part, at that time, and I'm not even kidding, I would stand in front of the sliding glass door in my room with the curtain shut, obviously, but with my tennis racket, like I'm playing guitar, and I'd just rock out to songs. And it was always my dream from that time. I mean, hell, even when I was a younger kid, and I'd listen to my parents' 8-tracks of like old folk bands like Simon and Garfunkel and Bob Dylan, and then even musicals were a big.
I bet you didn't see yourself as Garfunkel though, did you?
I did not.
Fuck that. I'm Simon.
I did not. Yeah, I never saw myself in that secondary position. No.
I think all three of us have done that. Like, we were all in bands and in the rock scene. So, all three of us have stood in front of the mirror and rocked out and did our moves.
Sure. Well, you gotta get your moves down, right?
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
But I think it was from that very young age, getting into musicals and folk music and classical music and things like that, and then just going, well, this is going to be my life because this is really the only thing I care about. And as I kept getting older, it just became more obvious that music and performing live were my thing. It probably wasn't until I was like 19 though that I actually performed live in front of a crowd.
Yeah.
And that was with a band that I had in Pensacola, Florida. And from there on though, that was it. I was like, well, I'm sold. This is what I'm doing.
So then, as far as the bands that you perform with now, Boy Sets Fire was the first.
Yep.
How long have you been doing? I know it's been a while now that you've been doing Boy Sets Fire. Right?
Well, didn't you guys have you went on a little hiatus or something for like 4 years, like Def Leppard did, right?
Yeah. Just like Def Leppard.
Did the drummer get his arm cut off?
Yeah, you wish. Nothing that cool. It was funny. Like we were. It's been about 20. It's been 20 years, almost exactly, I think, since we got together. 94 we got together. So, yeah, about 20 years.
So I assume that your lyrical content must have made a lot of changes then in 20 years, huh?
Oh, well, I would hope so. That'd be really silly if I was still singing the same shit. But
I mean, just like your whole outlook in general is.
Yeah. It would have to. If it doesn't, you're an idiot. Like.
So it went a little something like this. Then it went. I love God. I hate God. There is no God. Right. I love myself.
Well, it was never. Yeah, it was never a. Boy Sets Fire was never a Christian band, so
cool.
That was never an issue. But that's pretty funny. Let's see. So yeah, we did take like a 4 or 5 year hiatus, mostly because I feel, well, in my opinion, it was pretty much because we had some inner workings to deal with. I feel like there was no possibility of me and our original drummer being in a band together anymore. And there was definitely a lot of tension and issues because of that. And so, we took a break for a while and we decided let's be friends for a while. You know what I mean? Because a stinky van can turn the best of friends into enemies real quick. So it's good to get some perspective sometimes and step away and just be like, hey, so we were friends before this. Let's try that again. You know,
it's like a marriage, man.
Yo, absolutely is. Yeah. Absolutely is. So we did that, you know, and then we decided, you know, I think it was actually our original drummer, Matt, who had come to us and was like, kept pushing for us to get back together. And so he and I actually sat down and talked through some shit and stuff. And, you know, then we all sat down and talked and we're like, look, if we're going to get back together and we're going to do this, we're going to do it for fun. We're not going to do it for the way we used to do it, where it was just constantly trying to get to the next level, pushing ourselves, straining ourselves, hurting ourselves to get there to where we're killing each other over it. Yeah. Let's just have fun. We've made a name. We've done our thing. Let's just have fun with it and see where it goes. So we did that, and it became painfully obvious that everyone but our original drummer was going to be able to toe that line, you know. So that ended up with us parting ways with him, which I would say was probably the best decision made for us and him. Yeah. I think that when a thing like that happens, no reason to collect or keep animosity about it. It's just more like, well, this didn't work. Exactly. You're going to be more happier doing something else. We're going to be more happier without you. Let's go with that, you know. So and since then we've released 2 albums since then, and it's been absolutely wonderful. It's been a lot of fun. Mm-hmm.
Do you guys still jam the Motley Crue cover though?
We do not.
Come
you
on,
fucking weirdo. No, we do not.
Take off, eh?
Right on.
If you
what cover was it?
What
was the song?
We slowed down the tape because at that time, back in the day, we were still using the reel-to-reel tape system.
Oh yeah.
And if you listen to it, my voice is all chipmunky sounding because we slowed it down. I sang to it, and then they sped up the tape. And
it's okay. Vince Neil does the same thing.
Exactly right.
Well, right.
But what song did you guys do?
Livewire.
Oh, cool.
It's on the first Boy Sets Fire album.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's supposed to be like a hidden track type of thing.
Is that the crying, screaming, my voice is being born?
Right.
Yeah.
I think it still says. I think it says untitled on the track.
Oh yeah. We never admitted to it being there. It's just there.
Nice.
How Christian of you.
So then, when it came time for you to start doing your solo stuff, what? Obviously, it's a big difference.
Oh yeah.
In styles of music.
Sure.
Is that just one of those things like as a musician you're well rounded, you like to try different stuff? Is that kind of what made you want to do that?
Well, to an extent, but I think what happened was I was really trying to find myself in a lot of ways, and this actually, funny enough, is what spawned a ton of other bands I did besides Boy Sets Fire until I got to the solo stuff, because I've been wanting to do solo work for a very long time, and I keep chickening out, basically. I started writing some stuff on my own, and then I formed a band called The Casting Out for a little while because, honestly, I was too chicken shit to do it. So I got a band, you know. Then I started doing I Am Heresy and doing, you know, because I wanted to get this more sort of metal, rage-induced like thing going. But I found that the in-betweener stuff that was more of this neo-folk type of stuff was really more my speed and more of the things I was concentrating on. So finally I was like, all right, I need to stop doing this. I need to stop fucking around and for real just do this, you know? And I guess what I did was I sat down, I wrote a couple songs, and got some songs that I had written in the past and said, how can I make this not cliche? Because I don't know if you guys have heard a lot of things from singers that have come out of the punk or hardcore scene, but all of their solo albums pretty much sound the fucking same. It all sounds like Chuck Reagan or Tim Barry, who are very good at what they do, but it's this sort of country folkish version of punk.
Yeah.
That works very well for those two guys, but everyone else should shut the fuck up. You know, it's been done well, stop it. So I was like, you know, how can I do this in a less generic way, in a less derivative way? So I was like, well, a lot of the stuff that I'm listening to is this like Death in June and stuff like this post industrial music, neo-folk stuff that comes out of the industrial scene. I should find some. Dan. I know Dan. Dan was our like token industrial guy in our scene of people. You know what I mean? So I went to him and I was like, here's some songs. What would you do with these? He worked out a couple of things with them, sent them back to me. I was like, well, we're partners. This is exactly what I'm looking for. You know, and it touched into that little aspect of me, you know, as a younger kid getting into Joy Division and Skinny Puppy and Dead Can Dance and 9 Inch Nails and stuff like that. And it really touched something in me that made me go, this is what I want. This is what I've been looking for. And this is me. This is how I classify myself, you know? So it's been good. It's been perfect.
So as far as your solo stuff, do you have a favorite song?
I do. I would say, although I feel like the favorite song of most people is the first song on the EP called Wolves. My favorite song is actually the last song called Korzen.
Now I have to tell you a story, Nathan.
Yeah.
About Korzen. So, as you know, I mean, I think you know, I wrote a review about how it was a great song and everything on Amazon and all that stuff. So, but anyway, so when I first downloaded it, I went home and I wanted to let my wife hear it. So now my wife is not a Satanist, but she's 100% supportive of me being one. She understands, and she's very proud of me anytime I have an accomplishment. So, you know, I put the headphones on her and I told her this is what it is to be a Satanist, and let her hear it.
Right.
When she listened to it, when she was done, I swear to God, she goes, "It sounds like one of those songs from one of those churches where they all put their hands in the air." I stopped and paused for a minute, and I was like, I didn't know what to say to her. I was like, shit, I get that because I grew up in that, and I was like, Nathan grew up in that. Yeah. Maybe.
There's gonna be some influence there, sure. Yeah. and music has that way of influencing through things like that. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Whether the ideology and things like that mean anything, there is some substance to that music. You know?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And there's a reason why it inspires and why it gets people psychologically charged to believe a bunch of bullshit.
So why don't we go ahead and play Korzen for the audience right now? Is that okay with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tonight we align with a sure and firm foundation, with daggers drawn and flames alight. For our hearts we must choose to no longer live a life of being used, as we arise and come alive. Invoke the tidal wave, wash away the guilt, the pain, exist in light, reclaimed. In this life we are vital.
Yeah, that's the first thing.
That's
she heard.
awesome. That's
so.
really
That's
funny.
when you were helping us out in Texas. I said, "Remember the guy who sounds like he's in the church with the hands?" And she said, "Oh yeah, yeah."
That's awesome. I could totally be fine with being described as that. That's all right.
So, as far as
Dark
the new
gospel.
stuff we're working on, yeah. What tell us about the new stuff that you're working on? Do you have any things you can tell us about it?
Yeah, I think that a lot of the new stuff that we're working on right now, there's definitely some new aspects involved. Some I don't want to say it's gotten too much more rock like, but in a way we've brought in some more guitars, brought in some more live elements with the drums, but
Covering
also
some Van Halen.
Right, yeah. Which, by the way, this is the funniest thing ever. So we're doing a solo tour, and we busted out the Van Halen cover on the first night. It was like just sort of as a goof towards the end, have some fun. And I was running with the devil. We got to the end of the song. We all looked at each other and went, "We are never doing that again." It was terrible live. It was so boring. Like it was just like, and you could see the energy in the room just drop. It's like,
wow.
all right, well, that was it. Because it's one of those things. It's like a fun, gimmicky thing to do recorded, but then you play it live, and it's like, well, that was flat. All right,
it's not the same,
but
especially without the like split kicks and stuff. It's not going to be.
Yeah.
Now, if you did that, if you added that to your show, though. That would be.
I can't do that. I will be honest with you. I know my limits. I cannot do that.
You could like do it in deep knee bends or something. Anyway.
How about shallow knee bends? Shallow knee bends. Let's go with that. But yeah, a lot of that, and delving into that anthemic, feeling. It's so all over the place at the moment, putting it together. But I feel like it's going to come out as, exactly what I've been trying to put together. I feel like the EP was a precursor to what's to come. And I think that with the full-length album, you're going to get a broader spectrum. It's not just going to be what you heard on the EP, but there's going to be a little more to it, and it's going to give a broader spectrum of what I'm trying to put forth, So you'll hear a lot of influences from that industrial and like the neo-folk stuff, but maybe some other things too. Maybe even some more of the classical, influence. And
if you want,
that atmosphere.
John and I can do some doo-wop backing vocals.
Well,
Anytime.
Definitely wait by your phone because I'm totally going to call you for that. So, yeah.
Like, damn it! I know he was in the studio today. God damn it, he didn't call.
He swore he was going to call us. I don't understand. No, yeah, totally. No, wait by your phone. I'm totally going to.
All right. Any as far as do you have any kind of date idea as far as a release date?
I'm thinking. I mean, we really want to. Into March, April, somewhere in there is when I'd really like to see something at least come to fruition and be ready to be released type of thing, I already have the artwork done and the name for the album and all that kind of stuff, which will come out at some point once we figure out what we're doing. But right now I know that my manager is shopping it around now that the holiday season's over. He's starting to get back into the swing of things and shopping it around to labels and stuff, and we'll see where it lands, and once we figure out where it lands, we'll be able to figure out what we're doing from there. But I would really like to see it in like March or April type of thing.
Awesome. Nathan, I noticed that you had like your own personal symbol like on your album and stuff, and there's a rumor going around that you're actually going to change your name to that, and we have to refer to you as the artist formerly known as Nathan Gray. Is that true?
Yes, that is true. That is absolutely true. Please spread that rumor right now.
Nice. No, so on a serious note, though.
This episode is that.
Yeah.
Right.
On a serious note,
Funny.
where did that come from?
Funny enough, that will be revealed and explained. I mean, I'll touch on it a bit here, but I came up with the symbol. It actually came sort of in a dream type of thing, and then I built on it from there. But it'll play into. I mean, you guys have probably seen the what I've been doing on Facebook with like Goat Tuesday and Wolf Wednesday and Serpent Sunday, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Nazi Thursday.
Racist Friday. Yeah.
Racist Friday. Right. You've seen that. So
yeah, we see it.
but all of those, the four different animals, the what I call the carnal animals, are something that I'm working on not only in music, but I'm actually in the process of writing a book at the moment. And these carnal animals and the symbol will all play a part within the music and within the book. I'm in
the business of illustrating books. If you need any,
I know that about you, I believe. But that and the symbol in and of itself, like I like to an extent keep it to where people can identify it with themselves, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it definitely it's several symbols that represent each of the carnal animals thrown together into one.
Is it kind of like a totem, like a?
Yeah, it's a totem, absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
And if you see right now on my Facebook, there's on my page there's a picture of the serpent, the wolf, and the owl and the goat, and the serpent's in a trapezoid, creating this sort of totem sort of thing, and that will play into this symbol, and all of that'll work in through the next album and the book and all of that. So it should be a cool process. I hope that when it comes about that people will find some really cool meaning in it that they can apply to themselves. Because I think that especially within Satanism, but even outside of that, I think that these different animals, these archetypes, can really speak to people. And how they attribute those to themselves and how they live their lives.
But we all know how satanic the owl is, so
yeah. Well, I would say definitely. I picked these four animals for a reason. You know.
Yeah, they'll be for sale on iSatanist pretty soon.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Get your owls. Yeah.
Get your owls.
You gotta go back to like the first or second episode for that one, Nathan.
I'm going to now. I have no idea what that means.
Like episode 1 through 10 or 1 through 9 or something. It's all about satanic owls.
The long
it's pretty funny.
See, I don't believe you're correct. I think you are right now trying to make me listen to all these, looking for owl references.
You don't see the things on Facebook? They're all over there. Everyone's bugging me about where's my owl, John? Where's my owl? I Satanist. It's funny. Well, hey, it's cool.
I feel like you're not telling me the truth. This is
no, it's 100% true.
It was the Christopher Walken bit.
Didn't Adam make it up? I think Adam Campbell actually.
Yeah, as Adam called you drunk or something.
No.
Well, yeah, he's done it a few times.
He was telling Christopher Walken.
Oh, okay.
Adam was telling Christopher Walken that the way that Satanists communicate with each other is through owls.
Oh.
Kind of like a Harry Potter reference, and.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. I think I missed that. I think it's very funny though that I said, "Oh, the one where Adam called you drunk," and Dorian said, "No, that's happened several times."
He's always drunk.
Right? Not that weird. That's okay.
Yeah. Which one?
That's
right.
Which time?
Fair enough.
Well, I mean, we learned a lot about you. It's really, it was great talking to you.
Absolutely.
But I have to ask you this, because we ask this of all of our guests. What does Satan mean to you?
Well, I think that it's always meant to me, it's a symbol, and it's funny, because I don't want to answer this exactly how I put it, like in my... active membership thing, I'd like to be a little original and not just restate what I normally say about it. Mm-hmm. But I think that Satan is, as we all know, the adversary. And I think it's funny trying to describe it to other Satanists. It's like, well, yeah, dumbass, of course. But it's it means to always be skeptical, to always be the adversary, to always, I guess, see the third side of things, to see that life isn't simple. Life isn't easy. Life isn't about easy answers. It's about choosing a more difficult path. And that more difficult path is choosing intellect over the emotional ghetto that people have thrown themselves into by giving themselves to a higher power.
Absolutely.
All right. I gotta say, this is our 14th episode, and that's like the 7th best answer I've heard. It's awesome.
That is such high praise. Thank you.
I can't wait till the day that he doesn't say that to somebody. I don't know if before.
Right.
No, I have to.
Is this your line? Is this your line? Right.
Awesome.
Fair enough.
Awesome.
Nathan, we got to thank you again for being here with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah, no. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
All right, let's
Need
talk
to have
again
you come
soon.
on and be part of a skit or something sometime, and just to goof off.
I'd be down with that. I'm always down for goofing off.
Yeah. We love some jackassery.
We're gonna call it Three Pricks.
I think I've seen that movie.
Yeah, we'll just answer phone calls of people calling, and we'll just treat them like shit.
I like it. Oh, this could play in. This could play into your buddies that write you, John.
I know those fuckers.
Right.
Get them on the show and let me talk to them.
Yeah.
It's been great having you on here, and we appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Definitely, let's have you back.
Yeah,
man.
no, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, man.
Really appreciate it.
Until next time, Hail Satan.
Hail Satan. All right, that's going to do it for episode 14, John. That was a great show.
Fuck yeah, it was. I had so much fun, man.
Hell yeah, man. Got to say, that was pretty awesome having you got axed by Dax. What is it? What are we calling that?
The Dax attack. I don't know. Something.
Dax attacks. You got axed by Dax attacks. That was cool.
He's cute.
And, of course, we have to say thanks to Nathan for coming on the show, and not only for the interview, but of course for the music as well. So
yeah, absolutely, really had a good time. I can't believe that guy thought I was an insufferable prick once. It's weird.
I know, dude. I mean, I did, but only for like a minute. Then I got to meet you. So.
You know what it is?
And then I realized that I was seeing the insufferable prick in me reflected in you. So.
I'm the mirror. I'm the mirror. People hate themselves. Yeah. Everybody comes around. Anyway.
That was a good time, man.
Good time. I had a fucking blast. Until next time, man. Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.